It looks like they've gotten a little bit of rain down here around Madison, Indiana. It's not bone dry like it was around Cincinnati when I left there a couple hours ago. So I'm down here on some of my favorite roads, my favorite gravel roads, and I want to talk about tires today. Specifically, tires I've used on this XT225 that are 50/50 street dirt dual purpose tires. And specifically the Shinko 244 Golden Boy tires, which I've used on this bike, and then before this on my Suzuki DR350, and the Kenda K270 tires, which I'm currently running on this bike. And I've had the front and rear combo together now on this bike for over 1,000 miles, and I've put it through all kind of different terrain, and I think I can talk about everything about the tire except for the longevity, the long-term wear. So hopefully I can give you a good comparison. Hey horsies. A good place to start in my mind, I've been thinking about this, is talking about what a 50/50 dual sport tire is. And I think anybody watching this video has a good idea, but I think there are also some misconceptions, and I do want to be understood when I'm talking about certain aspects of the tires. So 50/50 is the performance bias of the tire. It's equally suited to the street and the dirt. If you take something like an 80/20 street to dirt tire, they're saying that 80% of its performance will lie on the street and 20% of its performance will lie on the dirt. So it's made to work pretty darn well on the street, and then not nearly as well on the dirt. Just adequate performance if you're just occasionally going to be on the dirt. A lot of people have it in their mind that that 80/20, for example, has to do with time, the amount of time you spent on each surface. If you spend 80% of your time on the street and 20% of your time on the dirt, then you need an 80/20 tire. And that's not wholly correct, because even though you may only be spending 20% of your time on the dirt, what if you're on super nasty, rocky, rooted, rough trails? That tire that only has that 20% dirt bias is not going to nearly be adequate. So think in terms of the performance that you need. I really like the 50/50 tires, though they are not outstanding in any one area. They let me go on the road for a couple hours on end. I can get up to freeway speeds. I can do gravel like this. I'm out in these rocks today. I'll be doing single track this weekend with friends. The tires allow me to go anywhere, but they aren't going to have the performance on the street of a dedicated street tire, and they aren't going to have the performance on the dirt of a dedicated dirt tire. But they let me do a little bit of everything. And I know for a lot of people, dual sporters, for me, I love that aspect of dual sporting. I love to ride through the countryside on the road for quite a ways, to get to trails, ride trails all day, and then do that ride home. Because I just like saddle time. When I ride, I want to ride. But I also have friends that are dual sporters that they prefer to trailer their bike if it's going to be distances, set the bike up more specifically for the dirt, and then they have more fun riding on the dirt that way. You know, they can go with more aggressive tires because their time on the road is more spent just stitching trails together. So, you know, when we talk about dual sport tires, there's this big wide range. And in this 50/50 mix, where I tend to stay, there are really two budget kings among the tires: the Shinko 244 and the Kenda K270. And I have quite a bit of experience. Well, let's talk about similarities between these tires first. They do have similar tread patterns. they're often mentioned in the same breath as being comparable kind of tires. You know, both well-known manufacturers in motorcycling. And I would love to start talking about the accolades first, but when it comes to shortcomings, they do share the shortcomings that I think all 50/50 dual sport tires are going to share, and that's riding in the rain, whether it's wet pavement or whether you're out in mud. They are not going to be as good as a dedicated street or dirt tire for sure. When it comes to these tires, I've found that on wet pavement, going in a straight line, 50/50 mile an hour, no problem. I take it easy in the turns. I definitely make sure I don't do anything approaching aggressive. And same thing goes with mud. I'll show a clip here of me riding in some mud on dual sport tires around a motocross track. And really the trick was the rain is coming down, and in that situation it's washing the sticky mud off of the track. It's just greasy and it's slick, and as long as you kind of keep your drive up and keep the tires spinning, they'll kind of clean themselves and they'll kind of work. But I would say if it continued to rain and then it stopped raining, an hour later you'd have that thick sticky clay mud that's tough for even knobbies. And these kind of tires would just be hopeless in that situation, just being perfectly honest. Okay, that's out of the way. That's something they share that's not ideal, but those really are the major weaknesses of these tires. Otherwise, they let you go just about anywhere. And the 244 Shinkos, on their website, they say flat out these tires are equally at home on the street and the dirt. So, hey, 50/50, they're calling it. And I tend to agree. I think they actually, they do well in the dirt. They actually, on the street, I really like them. For dual purpose tires, I am confident in the Shinko 244s on the street, pitching it into turns. I've done plenty of fast turns and long distances on the 244s on the street with no wobbles or slides or anything like that. So if you're biased toward the street, I think the 244s are really great. But on dirt, they've done really well for me. They've never ever let me down, and I think they're built really well. The only failure I ever had on the 244s was a thick, long construction nail through the rear tire that would have gone through any tire, and I was able to walk to a nearby convenience store, get a can of generic Fix-A-Flat, and I fixed the tire, and it all, got me home. It turned out good. So I think of the 244s as really this baseline, do anything without getting you too excited or without letting you down kind of standard for the dual sport tires, the 50/50 tires. Okay, who is the Shinko 244 dual purpose tire for? I think it is for the person that wants inexpensive tires. Both of these tires together combined sell for around $90 front and rear. And I think they work on any size motorcycle. They have sizes for the 244 to fit just about any bike. As a matter of fact, my friend with the Super Motard has them front and rear on his 17-inch rims. They're on my little XT here. They're on all kind of bikes. You can get them for vintage motorcycles in all kind of sizes. So anybody can get them. They're affordable. They wear well. The rears, I've gotten around 3,500 to 4,000 miles out of them, and easily twice that or more out of the fronts. And you're the kind of person that you like to ride in different terrains, but you just get on the bike and ride. You just enjoy riding, and you don't sweat the small stuff, and you don't sweat every little aspect of performance. Because I think if you're the kind of person that goes out to the trails and then you think, oh man, if I just would have had a 10% better tire, I could have made that hill, or oh, I could have gone as fast as X, Y, or Z on the road if I just would have had a little bit better tire. If you get into those kind of things, thinking that way, I don't think you want these tires. You're more performance oriented. These are just set it and forget it, plug and play, go enjoy your motorcycle and have a great time kind of tire. When it comes to the Kenda K270, the tires are really similar and they look similar. And now a big difference, I started with the rear tire first. One of the things I saw called out online was that the side knobs are bigger on the Kenda K270 than on the Shinko, and they're softer. And people complained, some people, about the tires being kind of squirmy on pavement when you lean it over. And I have not found that to be true. A little more research showed me that bigger bikes like KLR 650 also had problems with the rear K270 tire chunking, knobs coming off of it. And I've had no problems like that either. So this is kind of telling me, if you're going to get the K270, I really like the rear tire. I think it performs better in the dirt than the Shinko. I think on the pavement, I can't tell you anything it does wrong, but I have not adopted the same confidence in pitching it into the turns on the pavement as I did the 244. So what I'm gonna say is I like it a lot, and it's probably, I mean, it's my preferred tire because I like it better for the dirt as far as the rear goes. But that's on a smaller motorcycle. Definitely on these smaller bikes, I think it works great. If you're on a KLR or something, maybe it doesn't work as well. Maybe it does have wear problems. So definitely look into that. Now when it comes to the front K270, that gets a little more complicated because my friend Joe had one on his WR250R, and he told me it just got a terrible death wobble around 65 miles an hour. And he offered me the tire, but I never had a chance to get it. But because I liked the rear K270 so much, I went ahead and I bought one, and I have experienced the same thing. Once you get up close to an indicated 70 miles an hour, the front K270 just starts to wander and wobble on you, especially on rain grooves. And I've been riding small motorcycles my whole life. I know what it's like to have a bike wander on the road. I know what lightweight motorcycles are like when they get blown around. I've experienced this forever. This tire definitely does not like, to a degree I've never experienced before, the higher speed running. Now when it comes to the trail on the front K270, I also have a couple issues there. When I first mounted the tire, I couldn't believe how much skinnier it was than the 2.75 by 21 Shinko 244 tire, and I'll show them both here. It was markedly skinnier, and the knobs were markedly smaller, and I thought this is just never going to work on the dirt. Then I saw printed on the sidewall that it's only a 2-ply tire. I didn't even know they made 2-ply motorcycle tires unless it's for trials or something. So now I began to wonder about the durability of the tire off-road. If I'm riding through rocky creek beds, things like that, do I have a chance of cutting this tire because it's only 2 plies? So those were a couple strikes against it there, both on the street and on the dirt. Well, after riding the combined front rear 270s in both conditions, I like the rear one everywhere. The front one does suffer from a lack of traction on the dirt because of just that lack of knobs. On terrain with traction, it does fine, but when you get into, I'll show an example here of a powdery slick off camber berm where the tire just washed out on me. And then there is the question of durability from the 2-ply rating when you're in really rough off-road conditions. Now, so who are the Kenda K270 tires for? Well, I mentioned do your own research if you ride a larger motorcycle, but I get the impression they may not be suitable for that. But if you're riding a smaller bike like the XT225 or CRF 250L or something like that, and you want a little more dirt bias tire, and you're on a budget, the pair of tires costs around $110, then I think, oh, and a big caveat, and you're riding 60 miles an hour or slower on the street, then I think the K270s are a great tire for you. I just happen to want to push them just a little bit faster than 60. That said, I'm not going to replace the tires anytime soon. I'm going to keep riding them. What they do well, I really love about them. I do have some qualms with Kenda's website, though. It's very confusing. They refer to the tires as 60% street, 40% dirt, which I would say it's the opposite. But, hey man, XT250, right on. But right below that is a terrain chart that they link you to. So after saying 60% street, 40% dirt, the terrain chart says they're suitable for everything from single track to mixed surfaces, but don't ride them on the pavement. Kenda, you need to get your messaging straight on this. Oh well. So that's the deep dive. That's my perspective. Shinko 244s, if you're just looking for a cheap tire that does everything and you're not worried about every last ounce of performance, you just want wear and a cheap price, amazing tires. Get them. I'll also link above to an Australian review where a guy that does a ton of off-roading really loves these tires and say they're his only go-to tire. The K270s, from what I have seen and read, my impression is they're better suited to the smaller motorcycles, a little more dirt biased, and don't push them on the street. I really would love to get more aggressive off-road tires, but I just don't want to give up the street performance. I really enjoy the all-around performance. But then the places that I'm coming up short off-road, where I wish I had more performance, really don't have much to do with the tires. They have to do with the guy turning the throttle. I could just up my game, and so that's what I'm working on. In the meantime, these tires are doing it. I did get bored of running the 244s for so long. I wanted to try something different. I'm glad I tried these 270s. Last time I was here, you might remember, this was completely flooded. Super nasty. And next time around, I'll probably try something different just to try it. Oh, decisions. When in doubt, go left. Hey, well, I am loving this ride. I hope I didn't just talk in circles there. I hope there's something usable there for someone. I'm going to keep riding, and I really appreciate everyone that's watched this video. Thank you so much. Thanks to all you subscribers. I'm working on a video right now, I'm working on it right now about the 12,000 mile update for the XT225. That's going to take me a little time to put together. That's a multi-day editing project because I'm looking back at all the little maintenance and stuff I've had to do to the bike, what has failed on it in 12,000 miles. And though the list isn't long, I want to share it with everybody. And at the very least, I've taken cell phone pictures or something so I can talk about all that. I think it probably applies to just about any Japanese dual sport you would find. Similar stuff happens over the course of 12,000 miles of multi-use riding, I would think. Okie dokie, well, get out there and ride, folks. It's summer in the northern hemisphere, and down south, your spring will be here before too long. And I will talk to you guys all later when you get out and ride. And I'll remind myself to do this too. Please, let's all ride safe. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a like, and I hope you'll consider subscribing for future riding and wrenching videos. Ride safe.